Be with me now in the high Sierras, a little north of Bishop, California, a little north and east of Big Pine. And we're on the highest peak of the Sierras. And we're with the bristlecone pine in the grove of the Grand Patriarchs. There aren't that many of them left on planet Earth, but there are still some growing still. Some of them over 1 million years old, still growing. And be with me as we nestle against one of these old patriarchs and view what they see. A forever of mountain peaks, barren looking, it seems like, for the bristlecone only grow above the tree line where the other trees stop. Even birds cannot fly where they are. There are no sounds. Move into that space. Move into that incredible largeness, bigness. And feel that presence. No sound, presence. A presence of pulse, shimmer, and wave. The presence of forever. And fly with me on the plains above the oceans. And you're looking down at that water, and the water doesn't look blue from that high. It looks like gray slate with a few wrinkles in it. Miles upon miles, hours upon hours of gray slate. And you move into that slate. And there's forever. And be with me in Nevada, the deserts of Nevada, the alkali flats of Nevada. Miles and miles of alkali flats. A few little tufts of grass maybe some dark patches. Kind of a little bumpy. That's all there is. No deer, no cat. No cougar, no one steps on the flats. No people. Or the alkali flats will suck you in, down and down and down. They're not like quicksand. The suction is more. And it sucks you into forever. And be with me in the middle of Seoul, South Korea, the very middle, with all that noise and all those buildings, and in the middle of a square, a protected little square. That's all there is this protected little square and a beautiful old Buddhist temple, and over a piece, a shrine that holds the biggest drum I've ever seen and the biggest gong I've ever seen. And be with me on the corner outside, high corner outside, a corner of that temple. And one of the monks goes over to the shrine and takes this wood like a tree trunk and pulls it out and lets it go into the gong. And pulls it out and lets it go into the gong. And you reverberate, and everything reverberates. And you're not just into the sound. You move into that presence of pulse, shimmer, and wave. This year I retire from near-death research as an active field worker. Wrote my last book on near-death, comes out February 2011. It is called simply Near-Death Experiences. I love that title. That's it. Near-Death Experiences. Next week they give me the secondary title, but that's the title. And it contains in it what I never dared say before. The book will be highly controversial because it is time we move from the field of near-death studies, recognizing that it is no kind of anomaly, that it is part of the genre of transformations of consciousness. And if we look at transformations of consciousness, why we have them, what they are, we move into whole new territory. It's not quite what we have been told. And that's where the book is going to surprise you. Don't be tricked by the title. And I look back on these 33 years of near-death research. I'm a field worker. I'm not a scholar. I'm out there in the field. And what I remember are eyes. All those eyes. Nearly 4,000 adult and child experiencers. And all those eyes. All those eyes. And I combine in this book the work I was doing before I died, back in Idaho. Yes, back in Idaho. I was researching altered states of consciousness, psychic phenomena, mysticism, and the transformational process. And I started up Idaho's first nonprofit metaphysical corporation called Inner Forum. And I worked with thousands of people. The Northwest First Speakers Bureau, on and on and on. Experimenting, experiencing, testing, studying. What is this thing we call life? What is this thing we call death? What is the transformational process? It's not quite what churches tell us, shamans tell us, ceremonies tell us, breakthroughs tell us. Go further. Go further into the eyes. Look into people's eyes. And you'll be drawn into that presence of pulse, shimmer, and wave. I had 5 fathers and 2 mothers as a child. Among my parents were people of Norway, Norwegian heritage. Imagine being raised in the reclaimed deserts of southern Idaho by Norwegians. Yes, we had raw fish for breakfast, we had raw yogurt, and we played Grandernula. Yes, we did. Interesting contrast. And then there was Pearl Harbor. And people running out of their homes crying and screaming. And later there was first grade. walking to the first grade. I walked along Shoshone Boulevard, pretty good, healthy walk for a first grader to get where I lived, to Washington School. It no longer exists, it's now a shopping center. And all along the way, most of the homes had gold star decals in their windows. In those days, if someone in your home died in the war effort, you were given a gold star decal, which you put in your living room window. For me, it was a pass of death to get to the first grade. And this one morning, this one house had 6 new gold stars overnight. And I stood there and I sobbed. I do not recall a single morning in all of first grade when I didn't have to stop my shudders and quiet my tears, just to walk in the door of my classroom. I never could understand all the years since why teachers would give kids who got a perfect score or a great score in school, why they'd give them a gold star. Because gold star meant death. And I did everything I could to avoid them. And it wasn't until I was 50 that I made peace with the color gold, and it wasn't until I was in my 60s that I could even wear gold. Gold was death. And I was that little kid in school who could see music, hear numbers, and smell color. That meant I spent most of the first grade, or off and on in the first grade, on a tall stool halfway between the teacher's desk and the door. Sometimes I had to wear a tall conical hat that said dunce on it as an example of a bad child who told lies. They called me a liar. Today, they would call me a synesthetic. I was born with synesthesia, which is conjoined senses. I couldn't touch a table and trust what anybody told me. Because when I would touch a table, there would be a burst of sound and fireworks and color and all kinds of imagery as to where the table came from. So I finally fled into nature, because nature never lies to you. And nature will comfort you. And nature brought me peace. I grew up in hatred. I grew up hating. By the time I was in the 3rd grade, I turned off all adults. None of them knew anything as far as I was concerned. I became a child of hatred, wanting to destroy and hurt and kill. And 3 things happened. When I was about to go to junior high school, 3 things happened. One of them, this wonderful Norwegian lady set me down in front of a huge Bible. She pointed to something and she cried. Never said a word. She just cried, and I loved her. And I went over to see what was upsetting her. And it was the 10 Commandments, and it said, "Thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not lie." And I never lied, and I never stole again. And I had a wonderful English teacher. She was French. Her name was Suzanne Dutoit. I was taught English by a French woman. Don't you just love it? And she accepted who I was and the way I did things. And for her, it was fine. And I started getting good grades again. But most of all, it was in the bathroom on a Saturday morning, and I was alone in the house, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was so twisted with hate that I said out loud, I pointed to myself in the mirror and I said out loud, I don't know how to change you, but I will. That's all you have to do, speak your word. The air has ears. Didn't you know that? The air has ears. And there are all kinds of beings. And God is there, and everything is there. And all you have to do is speak your word. And everything turned around for me. I'm not here to tell you about my childhood. But I'm here to offer you that in my childhood, good and bad were joined. There was no polarity. Black and white were joined. Terror and love were joined. Death and laughter were joined. When we went to the movies, the Saturday movies, Sunset Carson, Lash LaRue, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and Hitler. We always got the news, and the goose steppers, and the SS troops, and the concentration camps, and they were conjoined, they were together, they merged. The laughter of the cartoons and the horror of the gas chambers. So when I look back, when I see all that I've done and all that I've been privileged to do, all these people and the eyes, all of it. There is no right or wrong, good or bad, black or white, terror or love on the top of the high Sierras in the Grand Patriarch's Grove. There's only pulse, shimmer, and wave. If you look into your eyes, even your own eyes, everybody's eyes, there is that same presence. Because you are forever. It's not who you are, it's what you are. You're not going there. You are there. The most common phrase ever spoken by near-death experiencers anywhere in the world, 4 words, always there is life. No afterlife, no before life, no now life, which is the current popular term. It's all life. Always, 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 no matter what form you wear, no matter where you are, life. And the greatest privilege and honor and treasure we have is to be in bodies with a heart that beats and a breath that we take. The greatest treasure of all is just to be human. Because being human is forever. our breath, our heart, our presence is really that pulse, that shimmer, that wave. Dark matter, dark energy, luminosity, God. Pulse, shimmer, wave. It's the eyes. It's forever.